This video was sponsored by the ZimaBlade team. In this video, I will show you how I built my own pocket-sized Windows 10 PC using ZimaBlade microcomputer and 4-inch HDMI display. It was a super fun project to make and I hope you will enjoy this video. For this video, I've got a package directly from the ZimaBlade team, which includes almost all of the components I will need for this build. The board came with the power supply, a bunch of power outlet plugs, a dedicated DDR3 RAM stick, and of course the ZimaBlade itself. I was fortunate enough to receive a more powerful version of this board with a Intel Atom processor, but if you are on a tight budget, there is also a cheaper version available on their store. First, let's remove this plastic case from the board. I will try to make this device as slim as possible, since the end product is supposed to be pocket-sized. To remove the heatsink, it seems I will have to unscrew a couple of screws. The metal heatsink sticks to the ZimaBlade pretty well, so I will have to use some force to separate both pieces. Since I want to replace the heatsink with a smaller one, I will have to replace the thermal paste as well. First I will wipe down the old thermal paste and apply a new one. I may have used a little bit too much, so I will remove the excess with basic plastic spatula. And now I can install the new heatsink. At this point I've realized that there are a couple of gold pin connectors on the ZimaBlade that collide with the display board. I've decided to just remove those, since I don't have much use for them. And now the whole thing will pretty much be as slim as possible. I've started the assembly by printing the main frame out of black PLA on my Bamboo Lab printer. In this build, I will use a 4-inch square HDMI display with touch capabilities. It has a regular HDMI connector for display input and USB-C for touch and power. In order to connect the display to the ZimaBlade, I will use the micro DisplayPort adapter that was included in my package. I've actually have the second adapter, which is exactly the same, but this one is without its case. So I've connected the display to the ZimaBlade and as you can see it's working fine. To make things smaller, I will use this HDMI to FFC adapter, which will connect the display to the DisplayPort adapter. It looks like so far everything is going smoothly. The display driver board has those 4 mounting points that are pretty tall and I've decided to just remove them. You can remove those pretty easily by heating them up with your soldering iron. The display driver board looks way thinner now, but there are still a couple of things that I would like to remove, such as those pogo pins right here and the white connector next to them. Removing those was pretty easy and I think that the display board is now ready. And just to be extra careful, I will cover the display electronics with Kapton tape. The Kapton tape should prevent any short circuits that may happen in the future. In order to make this build more compact, I will have to do some modifications to the screen USB connection. I've grabbed the USB-C 2.0 cable and I've soldered the USB wires directly to the power and data lines on the display driver board. This way I won't have to use the USB-C connector on top of the display. After soldering the wires, I've used hot glue to keep all of the wires in correct position and prevent them from falling off. The whole display panel goes straight into the 3D printed frame, but before putting it in, I will connect the FFC HDMI cable. It will be pretty much impossible to do later on, so it's very important to do it now. Now I will remove the double-sided tape protectors, thread the wires through the opening on the plastic case, and finally install the display. It's a very tight fit, so slight force may be needed to push it in. And after that, I've pressed on the screen with my fingers to properly secure it with the double-sided tape. And now the display is properly installed and I can proceed with the keyboard installation. I've got this cheap Bluetooth keyboard that connects to the PS5 controller. I will take out all of the electronics and I will put them inside my build. There is a lot of useless crap inside, but it also comes with USB-C cable, which might be useful later on. There was also this plastic bracket for the controller mounting, which will go straight to the bin. Basically, I will only need the keyboard. The keyboard itself, as cheap as it is, actually feels pretty nice. It's not premium quality, but I've definitely seen worse. The device is completely wireless and it uses Bluetooth for pairing. Alright, so let's open it up and take out all of the electronics. The plastic case is being held down only by two self-tapping screws. Inside the plastic housing there are basically two parts, the main PCB and rubber button array. The rubber buttons are really nice, so I will definitely use them. The main keyboard PCB actually has 3 tact switch buttons, and on the back you can find a small 3.7 volt battery. I won't use it in this project, so I will just remove it. I will also remove the reset button as well, and of course I will remove the USB and pairing button. So I've put the white keyboard frame inside my document scanner and I will scan it for CAD reference. This may seem stupid, but this way I will have a dimensionally accurate reference for 3D design. As you can see, I've imported the scan to Fusion 360 and made a rough keyboard frame. The 3D printed frame will basically replace the original plastic piece and will house all of the keyboard electronics. First I will install the rubber keys, since this will be the piece that you actually touch. And now I will put the PCB on top of the rubber. With both pieces in place, the keyboard part is pretty much finished. The keyboard assembly goes directly on top of the main 3D printed piece and is being held down by two self-tapping screws. Just like always, I'm using the 1.4mm self-tapping screws with addition of the 3D printed washers. Those two screws hold the keyboard pretty well and there is basically zero chance of it falling out. To make the DisplayPort adapter little more bendy, I will remove all of the outer isolation and I will leave only the actual wires. It's way more flexible now and it should be easier to place it inside the case. Whole build is super tight, so it's very important to save as much space as possible. After removing all of the isolation and rubber from the DisplayPort adapter, the whole thing fits really well between the display and the ZimaBlade. The ZimaBlade itself is being held in place by 4 self-tapping screws with plastic washers. So now what I'm gonna do is connect the DisplayPort to the ZimaBlade and hide all of the display wires directly underneath. To make things a bit easier, I will unscrew the ZimaBlade screws and slightly lift the PCB. And now I will simply push all of the wires under the board. As you can see, it saved me a lot of space, and in addition to that, the wires will be protected from the outside danger. For the USB connections, I will use an old USB hub that came with the Rock Band controllers. I will remove those two connectors right here and I will use them for the internal connections. As you can see, the whole board is pretty small and USB pins are easily accessible. Of course, I will also remove the original USB cable, since I will have to replace it with new one. I've already soldered a couple of colored wires, which will connect to the USB-A connector and in turn to the ZimaBlade. The wires may be a little bit too long, but I can easily shorten them after mounting hub in the case. I will install the USB hub directly on the bottom in case I ever need to plug any kind of USB device later on. But before I do so, I will have to solder a couple of power wires for the keyboard PCB. The keyboard originally works with the battery, but I will connect it directly to the 5V. So as it turns out, the USB hub wires are way too long, so I will have to shorten them. I've carefully desoldered each wire and cut it down to the correct length. Now with the USB hub properly installed, I can solder the display USB wires directly to the PCB. The ZimaBlade doesn't have a Bluetooth connection, so I will use this cheap USB dongle, which will be connected directly to the USB hub and hidden inside the housing. I've completely removed the dongle case, since I will have to solder the USB wires directly to the USB contacts on the PCB. Soldering the wires was pretty easy, since contacts are really big. I've soldered the Bluetooth USB wires directly to the USB pins of one of the connectors, and as you can see, the Bluetooth board lights up. After installing the Bluetooth drivers and pairing my keyboard, I now have full keyboard functionality. The ZimaBlade is meant to be powered by the 12V USB-C power adapter, but since it's a portable device, I will use a couple of batteries instead. First thing I'm gonna do is strip the rubber from the USB-C connector to make it fit inside the 3D printed case. After removing all of the rubber, the cable is now super thin and will fit inside the case nicely. I will plug the USB-C connector to the power input on the ZimaBlade, and next I will connect the wires to this 12-volt power regulator. With the voltage regulator installed, I will now connect the other side of the regulator to simple power switch. With the power switch in place and all of the wires soldered, it's basically a matter of connecting the batteries now. I will reuse the battery contacts, which you can find on those cheap battery cradles, since I've got a bunch of them lying around. You can remove those contacts pretty easily by using sharp pliers. In order to make this work, you will need only two contacts. I've designed the back plate with the mounting points for the battery contacts for easier assembly. As you can see, I've pushed the contacts into those plastic holes, and now I will simply solder the power wires directly to them. I've tried making the wires as short as possible, but those need a bit of a wiggle room to make the assembly possible. And of course I will be using self-tapping screws to close down the assembly. It does look pretty good so far, but I think that the power switch might be sticking out way too much. Okay, so now let's put in the power cells. I will be using only two batteries, rated at 3.7 volts. Okay, so with the batteries in place, I can now flip the power switch and check if it turns on. And as you can see, everything is working fine so far and the PC puts straight into BIOS. Of course, I took some time and filed down the power switch to make it way less noticeable. Unfortunately, I've had to add a power switch for the keyboard since it doesn't turn on by default. And for the last bit, I will add a simple battery cover so that I won't have to look at any of the cells. The battery cover is a simple 3D printed piece that will be secured on the main body with two self-tapping screws. It's a really simple design, but it gets the job done. And now after all of that, I can now remove the protective film from the screen. So now let's turn it on and see how it works. Keep in mind that you don't actually have to use Windows 10 and you can use any kind of OS instead. As you can see, it's basically a tiny Windows PC which you can operate with the touch screen just like you would with the regular mouse. When you press and hold the tiny button on the bottom of the case, the keyboard will turn on and you will be able to use it just like a regular Windows keyboard. Of course, this device is in no way super powerful, but you can do a simpler tasks like reading emails, browsing websites, chatting on Discord and stuff like that without any kind of issues. I'm pretty satisfied with how it turned out and I would like to improve on this design in the future. Anyway, that's all for today. Thanks for watching everyone and hope to see you in the next video. And as always, huge thanks to my patrons. See you later and goodbye.